Welcome everyone to the Way to the World podcast, episode number 12. We thank everybody for coming out. We do apologize. We've had some unfortunate technical difficulties, things that we found out we needed. You know how it goes. It just happens. Life happens. We hope everyone, and first off, we want to say Happy New Year to everyone. We hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving, a wonderful Christmas, and a wonderful New Year. We are now in year 2023, and we're going to go ahead and start this thing off right. First day of 2023, and you're going to get a podcast episode today. So we're thankful for that. Episode number 12. So today we're going to talk about a few things. I got my sons and editor Philip and Stephen, and we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff like we always do. You know how we do. We come. Our opinion is of our own. We respect any and all opinions because everybody's opinion is important. Whether we agree with it or not is irrelevant, but we respect it and we're going to give it. So that's the rules of our podcast. So without further ado, we're going to talk about discipline. Me and my family, we were coming back today from brunch, breakfast, lunch, whatever you want to call it, and we were talking about discipline. And the quote that I want to give, because one of my sons was talking about, his job and whatnot. And I told him, I said, look, as long as you're disciplined, you're going to be just fine. I said, but with discipline, you don't need motivation. What am I talking about? Motivation can come and go, but if you have discipline, it doesn't matter if you have motivation or not. You're still going to do the job. And so, me and him are kind of in a similar situation where we don't necessarily like where we're at. And in his case, he went to school for what he does. So it's not that he doesn't enjoy the job per se, but like me, people are, not treating him the way he should be. He's a hard worker and he works very hard. And so what I told him was that, because you have discipline, because you got that from your father, and your mother for that matter, because she's very disciplined as well, you got a good work ethic. And because you got a good work ethic, regardless if you have motivation to do it, because guess what, if you don't like what you do, you're not motivated to do it. But guess what, if you're providing for yourself or your family, you got to work. It's just that simple. And so discipline is the key. Discipline allows you to do things that you don't want to do, but you have to do. Because you have responsibilities. All of us that are grown adults have responsibilities, okay? My middle son here, grown on his own, living on his own, providing his own, paying his own bills. He's got responsibilities. Yep. So guess what? He's got to work. Regardless if he wants to do it or not, he's got to work. Why? Because he has the discipline to do it. Got nothing to do with motivation, because motivation comes and goes. But if you got discipline, you don't need motivation because you're going to continue to do it because it's in you to do, okay? So unfortunately this society lacks a lot of discipline and accountability. They lack both. And my youngest will be speaking on this in a second, from his perspective, of course. And that's what's lacking in society. We're allowing any and everything to just have its way, and nobody wants to be accountable and nobody has any discipline. Part of that is that, and we talked about this on the way home too, is the reason why there are so many immigrants doing the jobs that we used to do is because we, as American citizens, lack discipline because we used to do those jobs. So what happened? Well, we probably got a little money in our pocket and we felt that those kind of jobs are beneath us now. But they're not. All these jobs need to be done, but because now you got you a little bit of money and status, now you don't want to do it anymore. And as a society, we lack discipline into doing that. That's why farmers are now rare when they used to be common. My family is full of farmers, going back all the way to the beginning. Full of farmers. Farmers, blue-collar people owned little shops and stores, and some of them were metalsmiths, but most of them were farmers. Well, people don't want to farm no more. Why? Because they think it's beneath them. That's why you see so many immigrants working on farms, because we lost the discipline to know that, guess what, all of us like to eat. But yet you don't want to do the work to get the food that you like to eat. All you want to do is go to the grocery store and pick it up. It's laziness and it's lack of discipline. Motivation has nothing to do with it because you don't need the motivation if you have the discipline. If you don't have the discipline but need the motivation, then something's wrong with you. You need to reevaluate yourself because motivation is fleeting. Motivation is not always going to be there. There are going to be times when you don't want to do anything. Heck, half the time I don't even want to get up and go to work. But I got the discipline to know that I got to because I got people that rely on me. I got bills to pay. That's just a straight up truth. That's not a fact, that's the truth. Well, it's also a fact, but it's the truth. And so we talked about this. All five of us were in the car coming back from breakfast, and it was actually proved been a great conversation. And I don't fault the immigrants for doing that because we have a lot of them. You'll see when you drive past, they're standing there waiting on work, and that's fine. And guess what? You give them some money, they can go out there and do some work.
I respect it.
They're workers. They're hustling for that money. Let's just make it real. They're hustling for that money, and I ain't mad at them. Yes, some of them aren't supposed to be here. Some of them are still struggling to make it in this Western society, and that's okay. You know, the people that do that pay them straight cash, so they don't have to deal with all the government entanglements. But guess what? They work. And that's what we used to do as a society. And you can't even make it about just white folk, because there are black folk out there that do the exact same thing. And you have immigrants that are doing the jobs that they used to do. So what it is, it's a human condition. When you feel that you have rose up in society and you feel that now the work that you used to do is now beneath you. What is that? Forgetting where you come from. Humble beginnings. A lot of people that are rich had humble beginnings. I think my youngest son brought up a lot of these second generation immigrants. Now a lot of them are in money. Why? Because they learned all that hard work ethic from their parents who had nothing and started with nothing, but worked their butts off to provide them everything that they needed. So that's my little spiel for 2023, that we need to stop being lazy and start being disciplined and be accountable for what we do.
I'll jump in after you. Go ahead. Go ahead, jump in, Stephen.
All right. Go ahead. Any comments from my panel here?
Well, obviously, you know, I always
main
respect
character.
the what?
Yeah, I'm a main character.
The main character is crazy. Honestly, I respect all my blue collar workers and the people who, you know, wait outside waiting for it, because guess what? They're gonna get that bread, and there's reasons why people keep coming back to pick those guys up, because they know they work and they know that they're gonna do a great job doing their work.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's better than going to a labor office in most cases, because the labor office is gonna get a little. The
government always gets its cut.
Exactly. It's gonna cut the top of that little chunk of change that they give you. You know what I mean? And in some cases, for them especially, it might just be better than getting a normal, like going with a general contractor or going with a subcontractor or something like that. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if you get enough of y'all can do something with that. You know what I mean? You can build something with that.
Right.
But in other news, we're gonna talk about this. Where is Kanye West? This is the thing that's happening right now, because his publicist can't find Kanye. I'm worried about where he's at right now. Obviously, he doesn't have Twitter no more to be texting him about what he's thinking at a certain moment. And honestly, I don't know what was the last podcast he was in, since, you know, that's a new trend now. If you're controversial, going every single podcast. So each one of those podcasts can, you know, suck you for views. You know what I mean? But, you know what I mean? No one knows where he's at. Now, this is my theory about where he's at. Now, all I know is if we hear in the next coming days that he has died of suicide, all I'm saying is they got rid of him. They packed him up.
Yeah.
After that comment on Alex Jones' podcast about, there's a lot of great things I see about Hitler, that was a crazy comment. I don't think the Jews like that so much. And so therefore, they packed him up. They got rid of him. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what? We don't need this dude anymore. Now, what do you think happened to Kanye?
It's either like Kanye's just like going off the grid for a while, but that doesn't seem like Kanye. Like, or like maybe like Kim K sent him a text like, if you calm down, we can get back together. So he's like chilling out, or you know, the Matrix is real. I don't want to say Matrix. people pushing a narrative.
The elites are real.
The elites are real. If you see what's going on around everybody who's kind of going against the hard left Western society ideals, they're all ending up either dead or missing. So and I do not agree with anything what Kanye said, but it just goes into what, like, if you go against the narrative, now you're a target, especially in Russian society, if you have Western society influence and stuff like that. Because Western society, Europe, Spain, America, we're the biggest people military-wise, economy-wise, and everything like that. So if you can have influence over those people, then and they fall, then the little people can come up. So they're trying to tear down Western society by bringing people who go against what they're pushing, and trying to go against the person who's going against what they're pushing. Now, when I say it, it's not that crazy. Cause it's obvious to me, right? It's obvious. I feel like it should be obvious to everybody. And then we see, even though most of the U.S. is a Republican conservative ideal belief, we are going with the minority when it comes to beliefs in Western society and what the media is pushing, which is weird. It's awkward, like, and they're trying to push a narrative to where we're all inclusive and that everything's okay, and that the traditional nuclear family is bad, and that you should be making the stallion 24/7, and that's not okay. And because what is that going to do not only to the culture but to the economy? What is that going to do? Because they first started the nuclear family to help the economy. Because if everybody could come together, if they could bring people together, husband and wife, and have a whole bunch of kids, those kids will also end up in the workforce, and then that husband will always have to keep a job, and so would the wife. That's why they created the nuclear family, so they could keep the economy going after the World War I and II. Well, the reason, we don't have to go to war anymore. It's peacetime on this side. The only wars, only wars that are fought are the military. They're not sending men that work at Walgreens to war. They send the military out to war. Right. So when you live in peacetime and you're comfortable, that's when a lot of conform comes when it comes to litigation laws and stuff like that, and that's when people get more comfortable. Now when wartime comes, that's when the technology improves.
Everybody goes back to their instincts.
Yeah, everybody goes back to survival instincts. Like I can't dress up like a wolf to survive this bomb that's coming at me, and I can't identify as this is that when I'm in the military, because it doesn't matter if I die. When you're not scared to die, you can do.
Dress up like a wolf is crazy.
When you're not scared to die, then you can do. You feel like you can do whatever you want. You kind of feel invincible, like nothing. Because even though people criticize this country,
you're not gonna move nowhere.
You're not gonna move anywhere.
You're not gonna go anywhere.
You're not gonna go anywhere.
You're gonna complain about it all you want. You're not gonna go anywhere.
And the scary thing is that if they're silencing all these people who's going against the Western narrative, then where is this country going 10 years from now? It's going to take somebody like really big elitist that can't be silenced, and to really push back the narrative that they're trying to push in Western society. And it's all TikTok, it's all Instagram, that because they know what they're doing, because TikTok, everybody knows TikTok is run by the Chinese government. Everybody knows what they're doing. The algorithm is to push people back. The algorithm is used to push people back to form our Western society and what they want to look like, so they can build communism up and socialism up, so we can convert and stuff like that. So it's kind of scary to see like how far the governments, not even just U.S. government, but anybody who has Western influence, what they would do just to keep them quiet, so they can keep pushing this narrative of progressivism and stuff like that. So we just gotta, like, I don't know, go to war?
I guess so, because like wartime, it really shows the true colors of a country and ideals that you push. But if you look back at the Vietnam War,
yeah, people were pushing back, like college students and stuff like that.
Everybody was pushing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at that time too, it was more a progressive period. In that time too, with peace, and everybody wanted peace and everything. No one wanted to go to the Vietnam War.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So that'll be interesting to see like how that will play out now when we're so like our country is so like bad socially. Like everybody has anxiety, everybody has depression, everybody identifies as QXY. It's going to be interesting to see how like a survival thing plays out in a society that was never not even their parents were taught to survive or been to war or anything like that.
Yeah, no, I think you both have great points, and I think that where the problems start.
I don't know how we even got on that.
Yeah.
Well,
Back to Kanye. You know what I mean? Where is Kanye?
Where is Kanye?
Well, no, because
Kanye's in Puerto Rico right now, chilling with Tupac and.
I mean, the reason the reason you bring that up is because
Nipsey Hussle.
Kanye, you know, he used to be part of the. He used to be part of he used to be part of the leftist agenda. He used to be one of them, Kanye. And then all of a sudden, President Trump came rolling along. Then we found out who he really was.
No.
I think
Kanye is crazy.
Kanye.
I might actually have
bipolar. But Kanye's not crazy.
He's not crazy. He's a genius. He really is. Just like.
Artistically, as a musician.
Artistically,
right.
But I'm pretty sure he has bipolar disorder, and it showed.
Everything changed like when his mom passed and stuff like that.
And that can happen.
And
I feel like it sent him into a spiral of trauma, and now his brain doesn't.
Yeah, he just went off in the deep end and stuff like that.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that you supporting Trump is you going off to the deep end, but like this dude is going crazy.
But went to a black. What was it? When he went to a black runway show with a shirt that said "White Lives Matter." Now, was that a smart decision? No.
No, but he was trying to make a point, because his point was, why is it that Black lives matter but white lives don't?
You should just say all lives matter.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and that's what I was
still bad.
Yeah, because you're still pushing an agenda.
You're still pushing an agenda.
But again, he was able to do that because of his. Because of where he was in the status.
I'm just saying,
he knew that when he was wearing that shirt, he was going to make people talk, and he knew his platform allows him to make those kind of statements.
So I'm just saying.
I couldn't do that, but he could do that.
He tweeted, "I would go DEFCON 3 on these Jews."
Right.
Why did he text that? He's crazy.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you.
People like Kyrie suffer for the consequences, even though Kyrie didn't really understand what he was doing when he posted that documentary, or when he posted that video. He didn't really understand what he was doing. He just thought it was an interesting video, not knowing that it was considered anti-Semitic. But because of the whole Kanye thing, everybody's sensitive about anti-Semitic views now,
right.
and
right.
even Kyrie not really understanding what he was doing still had to suffer consequences.
Even like Nick Cannon was one of the first people to really suffer from anti-Semitic conduct.
Yeah, and he really didn't understand what he was saying either. He was just saying that group of people. I don't even want to say no more.
Well, but then this goes back to.
I don't want to say no more.
This goes back to what we started with. This goes back to what we started with. You say that they don't know what they're talking about, but the simple fact of the matter is before you open your mouth, go research what you're talking about.
But it's not. It wasn't like
be accountable. It goes back to a personal accountability, does it not?
No, because
they came out of their mouth.
It didn't come out of his mouth.
It didn't come out of his mouth. He posted something now.
Okay, but
with Nick Cannon, it came out of his mouth.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
He was saying all this stuff. They got kicked off Wild 'N Out, but of course, Wild 'N Out was making way too much money, and so they put him back on. But
not on MTV.
He stayed until CBS. They got rid of him. That show he was doing on CBS. They got rid of him.
No, they got rid of Wild 'N Out.
Oh, I thought
they got rid of Wild 'N Out.
They might have replaced him with DC on the Fly, but then DC said, I wouldn't do it. None of them would do it. And so they needed Wild 'N Out for the revenue for their site, because they only have 2 shows on there.
Oh, I know. It didn't go back on MTV. It's on VH1 now.
Oh, then yeah, I guess.
They completely canceled The Masked Singer.
Yeah, that's what he got kicked off of.
That too, but. You know, I mean, he's currently repopulating Earth right now. So.
Right.
Yeah. He's doing God's work.
He's single-handedly repopulating the Earth. Yeah. But I mean, y'all bring up a good point, because the reason we brought the reason why my son brought the Kanye thing up is because we were talking about Andrew Tate and what's going on with him and the charges of human trafficking and all this other stuff. And my boys, with a lot of other people, seem to think this is all a bunch of nonsense, and it's just they're just planting stuff on him to silence him, as Kevin Samuels was silenced. Even though we don't know exactly what killed him, conspiracy theorists would have you believe that it was the elitist that got rid of him because he was trying to stand up for the common man and male masculinity, which I have nothing wrong with. And in fact, everything he said was truth and facts. But unfortunately, the society we live in is very feminine, and so they don't agree with that. They don't like that.
My thing is, I just thought about this. Why would the elite try to break down the common man if the common man is the bulk of their workforce? How are they going to get things done if they keep breaking down the common
because
man?
they're doing what a lot of people do. They break folk down to build them back up, but to build them back up in the way they want them. Yeah. So they're not getting rid of their workforce. They're just making them more compliant. That's all they're doing. So if you try to, and this is right from the Communist Socialist Handbook, if you break folk down and cause all racial division, religious division, all this other stuff, what that does is it makes them more malleable to the people who are in power and in charge, where they can take control, and then you end up in a society where you have no freedom of speech, no freedom of thought, no freedom of whatever, and they control everything that you do, and they control the narrative of everything that you do. That's what our country, specifically the United States, where we live in, is happening right now. And if you all don't see it, y'all are blind, hiding under a rock.
Yeah, you're part of the Matrix. You're NPC.
Right.
You're NPC.
You're literally, something wrong with you if you can't see it.
Wait, and my thing
you're
is,
an NPC.
So we can probably clearly say that the elite are mostly men, right? We can probably say that correctly.
Correct. I would argue that's correct.
So why are they demeaning men if they're the men empowering? Then there's women go up more in a higher status than men. They keep men
because
up.
men are meant to be in leadership role. God
but they're
created men to be in leadership.
putting them down though.
It's all part of the plan. When you get man out of the way, guess what? Society is much more malleable because there's nobody to lead.
But the women are going to keep going up and up and up. So
but the women don't want the men to be in the position that they're destined to be in.
So they're going to start putting more women in power. Then
because women are emotional. That means they're easily malleable, much more than men are. Men are wired differently. So if you get the man out of the way, and now all of a sudden you have a bunch of women because there's no men, or they're all in prison and in jail and everywhere else. There's nobody, one, to stand up to other men, because men are going to stand up to men, okay? You have women, not saying that women aren't strong, they are, but women are emotional beings. And so it's easier to manipulate people who are emotional than people who are not. How do you do that? You get rid of the men. You get rid of, everybody knows that man was created to lead, okay? The reason why men are successful is because they're aggressive. Women aren't aggressive; they're emotional. That's the way they're. I'm not saying there aren't aggressive women. I'm talking about just overall.
I know, yeah.
You know where I'm going.
Yeah,
and
go to Chicago, you find a lot of.
and this is the reason. This is what Kevin Samuels would say. He said the reason why society is the way it is. The reason why society is the way it is because of men. Because men were aggressive. Men were the ones that climbed up and made all them high-rise buildings. It wasn't women; it was men. Men were the ones that dug the mines. Men were the ones that did all that. Men were the ones that built the Panama Canal. But they want to take all that away and say, well, women can do everything men can do. No, you can't. Because you're not built the same way as men.
Well, obviously.
Biologically.
Well, obviously that's because
I'm not talking about mentally. I'm talking about biologically.
I understand it, but all that stuff was made like so many years ago.
I understand.
I'm saying if we were to reverse the roles and like the first men and women, how about if Eve were to climb up that tree and get that coconut for him? What would have happened then? We would be in the same battle right now, but we would just be talking about.
I think you got your Bible references on.
But obviously
I said Eve as an example for
right. Obviously, what happened with Adam and Eve has obviously messed up the world the way it was meant to be created. Again, everybody wants to blame Eve, but in reality, Adam was responsible for her. And because he allowed it to happen and didn't discipline her in doing what God told him not to do, it really falls on Adam. It's really Adam's fault, not Eve's.
Yeah, because he was simping.
Well, probably so. To use a modern term. To use a modern term, maybe.
Dude, he saw her eat the apple.
He didn't see her.
Yes, did he? I believe he saw her eat the apple. Then he was like, I don't want to be alone. Then he took the apple and ate it.
He knew that what she
You
did.
didn't read the Bible.
Let's just put it this way.
Okay.
He knew what she did was wrong.
Okay.
And he did nothing.
He knew though. He knew that she ate the apple.
Yeah.
But he didn't physically see it.
Right.
He was told.
Yeah, and the problem is because he didn't take his leadership role that God has created men to be in. And again, this is not meaning that women are behind. They're next to us. Women are helpmates, meaning they're next to us. They're beside us.
Adjacent.
They're adjacent. Whatever words you want to use.
Well, you know,
they're not. People want to take that in the wrong context and say, "Oh, well, that means women are supposed to." No, that's not what we're saying. Everybody has a defined role. Men have a defined role. Women have a defined role.
You're saying though, you're saying that she's going to be decided that means we're equal. We can never be equal.
Well, not equal in that respect.
But it's like
we
yin
have
and
roles.
yang. It's yin and yang. You can't have yin without yang. It's
Right.
a balance.
It's a balance.
It's not supposed
Correct.
to be more.
It's
It's not supposed to be more than
Correct.
the other. It's supposed to equal out
Right.
so we can go forward.
But the
Because
selfish
man-
instinct of human, you will always want more than the other.
Look, everything is about balance. A man has a role. Women has a role. That's created that way. What a man can't do, a woman can. What a woman can't do, a man. Women can't do, a man. You know what I mean? Women are the only ones that can bear children, not men. I don't care how hard they try. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Women were meant to bear children. That is one of their roles. Okay? Everybody has a role. And if we would just stick to the simple roles that we're supposed to do, society would be so much better off. But we're always trying to complicate things. We're always thinking that that it's not fair or this, that, and the other. As Philip was pointing out, everybody is offended. Everybody is jealous. Everybody's all these things, and there's no reason to be. Everybody has a role. If you don't know what you're supposed to do in society, then first and foremost, we as Christians would tell you to pray, and God will tell you what your role is. But if you're not a religious person, then go carve out something that you feel that you're good at. For instance, with Philip, he's carved out something in his life that he feels he's good at. He's a good speaker. He's a leader. He knows how to do things. Why? Because he carved himself out. One, he's blessed. But two, that he knew kind of what he wanted to do. He knew what he was good at. And it just took a little bit of a push. And boom, see where he's at now.
I mean, he's a pretty good rapper, too.
I said,
no doubt.
Why do you even have to bring it up? And I kind of said this last podcast. That podcast might not even be posted, so I might. So I'm
all the podcasts were posted still.
No, I mean the one that we did.
Oh, the last one we did.
No, so I'm gonna go ahead and repeat myself.
Right.
But I tell everybody, I'm not the smartest, I'm not the strongest, but I'm the most hardworking person that you will ever meet. And I worked in my craft.
Discipline.
I worked in my craft and to the point where I couldn't. I worked in my craft to the point where I couldn't be beaten, right? So like I told you the story before, but when I was younger, I basically, I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know really how to get there, and I wanted to be a business person. And then I remember I ran for Marty UN president my 9th or 10th grade year, and I lost. So, wait, no.
It was the 10th grade year, I think.
No. Wait, I was in my 9th grade year and I ran for office and I lost. I think it was for ambassador's VP or something like that. Yeah. So I worked in my craft the whole year, and I was like, in 10th grade, I'm running for Marty UN president, I'm going to win. So I worked in my craft. I started reading books every day. I started reading a book a week. I started working on my speech. I read into 48 Laws of Power.
Yes.
I did all this so I could learn how to become the leader I wanted to be. And I kind of conformed myself into the person that society would see an ideal leader, so they can obviously see that I'm the right person to go in and become your leader. So the person I was before is not the person I am now, and I pride myself on changing myself every 3 to 6 months. If I go to 2022 and put up a picture from every month, I look completely different. Haircut, beard, no beard, haircut, a lot of hair, no hair, waves, no waves, beard, no beard, goatee. Yeah. It goes back and forth because I don't want to be the same person I was when someone first met me. So 10th grade year came around, I was speaking really well. I wasn't afraid to be in crowds anymore. I learned how to project my voice and stuff like that. 10th grade year came around and Model UN president, and I went in there, I did my speech. Everybody said I did amazing, right? And I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna win. I leave 2 days later. I did all that work. I did all that grinding and hard work just to lose. I lost. I was not Model UN president that year. I got beat by a junior, and he was Model UN president for the year for the year that I was in. Even though I had more gavels, even though I had I was a better speaker. He stuttered a lot. I didn't. And I realized the reason I lost is not because I worked so hard. It's not because I didn't work harder than him, because I did. It's because I blocked myself off from society to work. So he knew more people than me socially, so he could get more people on his side that were both for him. Right. So for the next year, 10th grade year to 11th grade year, I became the most social person in the school. Everybody knew who I was and it wasn't because I was mean like I was in 8th grade year. I used to be mean to people just so I can have a few friends around me. I became nice to everybody and kind to everybody so that everybody would have an idea in my head for who I am and know my name. I would purposely ask people's names and remember their names and say hello, blah, blah, blah in the hallway. And they look at me and they're like, oh, that's Philip. I learned everybody's name at school. That was in my class from freshman year to junior year. I probably don't know the freshmen now, but I knew everybody in my class. I knew everybody's name. And because of that, I ran for Model UN president again and I won. It was a blowout. And then I ran for National Honor Society president, blowout. Because everybody knew me. Then I ran for History Club president, blowout. Because everybody knew me.
Homecoming king.
Ran from Homecoming king, blowout. Because everybody knew me. Like we were saying earlier, discipline, working hard. And I said last year, my 11th grade year, 2021, 2022, that was the year of perseverance. Working hard past the obstacles from losing to accomplishing so many goals, boy, state, attorney general. And I took that strategy that I learned from losing to go and win. I knew that I was going to lose every time if people didn't know my name. And so I took that strategy from school, used it at Boy State. I had a week to learn everybody's name. I learned everybody's name. It was 500 people there. And I won Boy State Attorney General, the third highest position you can get. And I got a scholarship to West Alabama and Auburn, all that. And I took that strategy and I put it into every single Model UN conference. I go around before the conference starts and ask everybody's name, and I remember because they know. And you're not supposed to call people by their name at Model UN, but I still say it because your name means a lot when somebody knows your name.
Correct.
And so yeah, and then I just went in and I ran it, and I did everything. So I compound. You always gotta. I tell everybody you have to lose before you win. I've lost more than I've won, even though I look like a very successful person now with all these positions and all these opportunities, and again going to Auburn, getting a full ride because I won YLDP secretary. You see all this, and you look at me and be like, oh, he wins a lot. Oh, he's lucky. Oh, he's successful. Oh, no, very, very, very not true. Because the amount of times I lost before I started to win, it was a lot. And I always tell people who ask me for advice, it was like, oh, Philip, how you this, how you that? I was like, you're afraid to lose. Because once you lose, you learn. Losing is lessons. I took everything I've lost, every time I've lost, I learned something from it. The people are so scared to lose that they won't put themselves out there to lose so they can learn something from it and win eventually. People are too scared to do that, and that's because they anxiety, depression, or they can't take it. It hurts their ego. People say I have a big ego now. Why? Because I've lost so many times. Nobody can tell me anything. I've been on both sides of the aisle. I've been on the losing side and the winning side. And it's just because I win more now than I lose doesn't mean I haven't lost in the past. You just gotta put yourself out there. Like you said, be disciplined. Have a journal, a habit tracker. I do all of that just so I can stay consistent. So I said 2022 was the year of perseverance, going through and accomplishing your goals. And I said 2023 was going to be the year of persistence. And that means, going hard even when things get hard. Not necessarily going for accomplishments, but staying consistent in the things that you already have so you can be the best at what you do. The work is still working in your craft, but not working in your craft to get better, but working at your craft to be the best at what you do in your individual field. So 2023 is being the best in my field, not grabbing things to add to my portfolio necessarily to build my craft. So I'm not building my craft anymore. I'm working in my craft. So I be the best working in my craft. Some of you don't even have a craft. Find a craft. That if you don't have a craft to work in, then that's why so many people are lost, and you conform to what society tells you need to do, and that's why every other girl has an OnlyFans, and that's why every other guy wants to be an entrepreneur, even though you don't have the ambition, you don't have the drive to do that. You're just not going to do it. Not everybody has the ambition and drive to do it, so just stop, because you're either going to be broke and still working somewhere you don't want to work, or you might be successful. Who knows? But find your craft. Not everybody can do the same thing, and not everybody can be a YouTuber and stuff like that. Because you have to work in your craft to do that. And once you find your craft, build your craft. Like Kai Cenat, he started off on YouTube, but then he built as an influencer. He built himself on Twitch.
Yep.
So now he's the best Twitch star of 2022, even though he started off as a YouTuber. He built on his craft as an entertainer, and now he's working in his craft as a Twitch streamer, being the top Twitch streamer, and now staying consistent in that and having consistent numbers and consistent subscribers and subs and stuff like that, making sure he works in his craft. He's already the best. He already built to the best. Now he has to stay consistent, even through the struggles of maybe losing some or maybe gaining some. He has to stay consistent to work in his craft. Steven built in his craft. He wanted to be an engineer or whatever, and he went to trade school as building in your craft, and then making a sacrifice to go up to freezing cold Ohio to continue to build in his craft, and now he's working in his craft.
And building my portfolio, so hopefully I can progress in my craft.
And that's building in your craft. And so find the craft, whatever that is, whatever you like to do. I always tell people, if you don't know what your craft is, think about what you wanted to do as a child and then build on that. My friend, he was like, man, it's senior year. I still don't know what I want to do. I didn't want to do Craft Academy. I put a lot of people on Craft Academy, but he's like, man, I don't really want to go in the workforce like that. So I was like, what did you want to do when you were in middle school? He's like, bro, I don't know. What did you want to do when you were in elementary? I was like, I kind of want to be a firefighter. I always thought that was cool. I was like, oh, you want to be a firefighter? So you know what I did? I went to the career coach or whatever. It's not Miss, I'm not even gonna say his name, but I went to the career coach of our school, and I was like, okay, this guy, he doesn't know exactly what he wants to do, but he thought about being a firefighter, and that was 11th grade year. And now we have a kind of like a craft academy, but for the fire students. It started last year, and a lot of people went into that. You can go into fire school, and it only takes 2 years. It's like getting an associate's degree, and you're a firefighter, and it's easier, it's smoother. And now he's doing that, and he said he likes it, he enjoys it. He enjoys the thrill of going into houses, and he enjoys like helping people. I'm like, there you go. And now he's building in his craft. He's going through the process of the school, and he's going through the process of and I think he was a senior. I was in 11th grade. He was a senior, and he came back this year when I was a senior, and now he's out of school, and he came back to give a demonstration to the students who wants to go into the fire academy. There you go. Now he's helping other people go into his craft.
Thank you for it.
Full circle. I never asked for a thanks.
No, I'm just asking if he did. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we still talk. So yeah, of course he was like, thank you. But
That's cool.
I never looked for a
That
thank you.
really happens.
I never looked for a thank you because
Of course not.
because I know where I'm going in life. I just want to put people on the path so they're not stuck here. I want people to travel outside of the Birmingham metro and see there's a life and there's a world outside of Alabama, because you can't stay in your hometown forever.
Well, and see, this is the thing. You know,
I
somebody
mean, you can. There's nothing wrong with that.
There is.
At the end of the day, infrastructure is a thing. That's why people always like to go in state. That's why it's cheaper to go in state than out of state because they want you to stay in certain areas. So then you can raise your kids here,
Right.
and so then
Right.
your city can still prosper. And that's why
Right.
they always tell you to come back so your city can still prosper, and then everybody can still prosper from your kids and your offspring and things like that. And you bringing back tax dollars to your city or your state too. So
Right.
it doesn't matter. You don't have to move. Especially if you have a big family in a certain area, you can build with your family in that area too. That's a complete option that you have. But you know what I mean. You don't have to move. But honestly, if you want to go see different things like that firefighter, there's plenty of positions in like California on the western side of the United States where forest fires are rampant all the time. Very dangerous too. But you know what I mean, he can move and travel like that, and your job really doesn't hold you down to where you live. But there's nothing wrong with staying where you are.
But don't do that.
Because don't get complacent where you are. That's why.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Don't get complacent.
Okay, so I'm gonna completely contradict everything you say. Don't do that. and that's because the people our age are not getting married anymore. The nuclear family is not a thing. People are having kids that are like just go where you want to go. Really. And
there's no stability. There's no structures.
Yeah. It's hustle culture now. If you're not the one hustling, you're gonna be left behind. Martin Luther King said they're gonna keep. He didn't say it just like this. By the way,
he's paraphrasing.
He said they're out to keep the poor poor and the rich rich. So you want to be the poor, you want to be the rich.
Right. That's true.
and
not everybody's gonna be rich.
And not everybody's gonna rich. Not everybody gonna be rich, but anybody can be financially free. There's a difference.
Right. So because the Bible says the poor can be rich always, so there's always going to be poor folk, regardless. You can set out initiatives to try to eliminate homeless all you want to, but there's always going to be homeless folk, and there's always going to be poor folk.
There's always going to be that one.
Keep doing those things to help people, but the Bible says the poor can be with you always. So what does that say? That means there's always going to be poor folk, always.
Don't be the poor guy.
Okay, and what my son's trying to say is, do something with yourself. Don't be that person that gets left behind. You have to be consistent, and you have to have the main thing we talked about right from the beginning of this podcast was discipline. You got to have discipline, and that's the key to what Philip is doing and my son Steven is doing. Is they're both disciplined, and they're both doing it. Steven's coming in from the bottom up. Pretty soon he's going to be in a big office doing engineering things. But right now, what he's doing, he's going at the bottom level. He's a certified welder. He's doing things. He's getting his hands dirty. He's doing all those things. Why? Because he'll make a better engineer knowing what everybody else does. When he becomes an engineer, he'll know what everybody on that job site is doing because he's done it.
I know. I already know what everybody on that job site doing because I'm doing their job. I'm doing all the subcontractor jobs. I'm doing everybody's job. But the main reason why I got into the blue collar work is I took advantage of the opportunity that COVID presented me, and I took advantage of it, and I jumped into an opportunity where I was getting paid more because guess what? No one else wants to do it. No one else is trying to do it because guess what? They're getting paid more just staying at home doing nothing. And therefore, I decided to go out and get my bag. Now, what I might do after this is all up to me. I'm still trying to up in the air. I'm still young, but right now I'm just getting my bag and achieving it in the best way I know how with my set of skills.
And then good. Yeah, all that's fun and dandy, but don't be poor.
I'm not poor.
Well, yeah, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about you, the viewer.
Wait a minute now. We need viewers.
I mean, they're not poor.
Yeah, I'm saying
they have YouTube.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good job.
They got internet. It's like they're not bored.
Yeah. But I say this all the time, and a lot of people don't like when I say this, but personally I don't care. But everybody has the same opportunity. It's just like your mindset going into it. Now, if you're gonna let hardship and struggle and trauma impact how you want your future to be, that's on you. And even if you can't deal with it yourself, there's always therapy and there's always people, psychologists that can help you through that. Even if you went through
drugs,
no,
medical drugs.
No.
we're not promoting that. No.
You can always hire somebody to work through that, even if you can't work through it yourself.
And there's also religion, of course.
And then there's always religion, whatever religion you believe in or whatever.
Right.
And that can help you through hard times and struggles. And then through that, if you have the mindset to be
right.
the best in your field or individual in your field, or the best that you can even be. Then everybody has the opportunity to do that. It's just what you willing to do to get through that struggle, and it's all on you. It's all on you. I was blessed. I have a lot of struggle. I always had a roof and food and stuff like that. It's just
lucky to live middle class.
Yeah, I'm lucky to live middle class. But there's plenty of middle class people who aren't me and who haven't had as many success or as me, because they're complacent in and they're comfortable in what they live and relying on their parents and stuff like that to get them through hardship and college and anything that comes their way. Well, I was never raised to be like that. I was always on the mindset, once I turn 18, I'm gone, and I'm still. And I'm still on that mindset because
I was 18. I dipped.
Yeah, you did.
I was in Ohio.
Literally, like 2 months after graduation, you left.
That was crazy.
Yeah, literally, 2 months after Steven graduated high school, he left to live in Ohio, and that was just kind of like the not the environment we live around. Like, you got to go out and you got to do something. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna stay here. So I worked hard to go to college comfortably without, stressing about, or doing a work study or stressing about school. All I have to do is go there and study and work. And I had been doing that for 18 years already, so it's going to be easy to just do it for 4 more. It's that people take a leap year because I need a break from school. I already did it for 18, 17 years. I need a break. What's 4 more years going to do to you?
And one leap year, you're going to read.
And then people who take 86% of people who take a leap year don't go to college. That means you just don't want to go. Just don't go. There's plenty of opportunities and plenty of opportunities out there that don't involve college. So I actually encourage people now not to go to college unless you're specifically going there to either be a doctor or you're going there to be in
STEM
or in STEM, something where you actually have to learn something that they can't teach you in high school. That's the only reason or YouTube.
I mean, you can learn pretty much anything on the internet. Even Harvard has their engineering courses out in the public on their website.
Did you get I sent you a text a couple of days ago. Did you get it about that engineering thing?
No.
I sent you in a text.
Gotta check that out.
See, so it's a course that they're slashing the price. Like you only have to pay like $100 something. It's like $2,000 course or something like that.
Yeah. So there's so many resources out there.
I texted to you.
That you don't have to go to college. I encourage people not to go to college because you literally go there with a degree and then you leave with thousands of dollars of student debt and then a degree that you don't even use because you had a degree in marketing, but now you work at an office job picking up phones for T-Mobile. See, that has nothing to do with marketing.
Right. I'll be the first to admit my degree. I've never used it. But. The thing I took out of going to college is that was a goal of mine. Because very few people in my family went to college. I mean, my mother did, but very few people in my family. Because like I said, I come from a rural farmer background. On one side and on the other side, I mean, they were fairly well off, but they were Irish German immigrants. They just came and worked hard. Stores and all that stuff. These blue collar workers on my mom's side. And so college wasn't something that was really either affordable or even wanted. People they were good with working and doing their thing. That's what built this country, and so I just think that for me, college was something I wanted to do. It was a goal. I could check the box off, say, hey, I went to college and I got a degree. It took me 5 years to get a 4-year degree, but I got it. And I was married with 3 kids, and I still did it with a full-time job. So guess what? If I can do it, anyone can. And do I have the best of grades? No. But the simple fact of the matter was I still made it. I still got the degree. And it means something.
Hey, C's get degrees.
That's real. Especially if you go to...
I mean, obviously we're encouraging everybody to do your best.
Oh yeah, do your best.
But
like,
especially
no jobs
don't
go
strive.
back.
Don't strive for a C, but like Steven was about to say, no job's gonna go through your college transcript. Man, he got a C in chemistry, and I'm about to hire him to do PowerPoint slides for our consulting team. They don't care.
They don't care. They just see the degree. They're like, okay, you got the minimum requirements. Let's see what we can build on.
Yeah. So unless getting a degree is building in your specific craft or career, don't go to college because you're just gonna end up with debt, and you're just gonna and you might not even use your degree. And make sure you find something that's in your field because then it's not.
You know, of course, unless you're getting an athletic scholarship, that'd be the only reason.
Oh yeah, and do whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got athletic scholarship. I would recommend going to sports medicine so you know how to take care of your own body, and that's where you do need to focus. Because a lot of people who go for an athletic scholarship usually they don't care, they don't really do anything, they don't really go into a specific degree. But I know a couple who goes into sports medicine or physical therapy, so therefore they know how to recover their own body. They don't have to pay other people to do that. And so therefore they're saving the bag even more on their own part.
Right. Yo, that's really smart. Yeah.
All the sports medicine, sports
Yeah.
medicine, physical therapy, muscle training, all those degrees. So you know how to work on yourself, so you don't have to pay somebody later.
And I know a guy I went to college with at UAB. He was playing football for UAB. Was in pre-med. Now he's a doctor doing neurosurgery. He's a neurosurgery doctor.
Yeah, that's not.
And he was
if you're not striving to go for the NFL or something like that, then yeah, I would recommend doing a whole other thing that's off it. If you're just doing it for the free ride, you just done that for 4 years.
That's smart.
Do something else then, yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you know you're not going to the NFL draft or the NBA draft, or you're not going to be running on the U.S. track team.
Baseball.
Yeah, if you got scouted by freshman year in college, you might as well give up, honestly.
Yeah, right.
And you might and do something that you enjoy. You know,
right. Enjoy playing football, but have that plan B. And
have that plan B.
Yeah. Definitely have that plan B.
Well, I don't know how we got on the top, but it's good stuff. And my sons are always so well informed.
And I'm trying to timestamp this video.
Yeah. I don't know where this is called. He's going title and y'all going watch.
We'll give it a nice fancy title, but
and then that's it.
But nevertheless, we wanted to give you really kind of what we wanted to do today. Just drop a little knowledge. It's a new year. We want to start things off right. Drop some knowledge. Don't be lazy. Don't be complacent. Be disciplined. Don't worry about being motivated. Be disciplined in everything that you do, and you'll be fine. And don't worry. There are going to be hurdles. You're going to lose. You're going to fail. That's just part of life.
You need to fail.
Right. You need to fail to be successful.
Lose. Any
good businessman will tell you how many times they failed until and all those times made them the successful person they are today. So I don't understand this modern philosophy of everybody wants to win and nobody wants to go through anything. You have to go through something. And this is what's wrong with society today, is nobody wants to go through anything. And that's why hard work really doesn't mean anything anymore. My son is right. Networking is key. That's very key. But there's something to be said about hard work and doing things on your own and doing things with your own hands that makes things a lot sweeter and better when you do it yourself. And there's something to be said about that. That's what built this country, was hard work. And anybody that tells you different is lying to you. Networking is very important. That is very true, especially in these days and times. So my son has proved that networking does build success, because the more people that know you, the more that they will want to see you be successful because they know you and they like you or whatever. And that's fine, that's great. But in the end, he's got to be able to do the hard work to get himself where he wants to be. Nobody else is going to do it for him. They might be able to move him around and connect him to the right people, which is also very important. But in the end, he's got to do the work. He's got to do the work. He's doing the work because he's got a hands-on job and he's got to do the work. Nobody's going to do that work for him. He's going to do it. So
if they don't want to do it, I'm still going to do it.
Right. So that's the thing. We kind of went off on a couple of tangents, but in the end, it's all about discipline and all that. And we brought up Kanye. We brought up others. Andrew Tate and all that, just kind of as a entertainment type of perspective on our podcast, like we always try to do. But in the end, it all revolved back around to accountability and discipline, and the way society is going is not being conducive to people having different opinions. We all have different opinions and different outlooks on life. Me and my sons have a different outlook on life, one, because we're two different generations. And so, yet we agree on a lot of things. We're not going to agree on everything because we're two different generations. And so that's what this podcast is about, is bringing different opinions from two different generations and giving them out to you, and then you commenting back with your opinion, And whether we agree or not is irrelevant because we can agree to disagree, and everybody has their perspective. Everybody has an opinion. We respect it. We may not agree with it, but we respect everybody's opinion because everybody has a right to. Okay? So we're gonna end the podcast here.
Right now?
Obviously, what are we doing here? Anyways, before we get off, book recommendation.
Okay. Well, I want to say this tonight.
Okay, yeah, then give you book recommendation.
I want to give a challenge to you. Maybe not all you, because I don't know. But I want to give a challenge to people watching who want to accept it. I want to try to go on a dopamine detox for the first month of the year, January 1st to January 31st. No social media or anything. I'm gonna do it. Just see how much you get done. See how much you get done, and instead of working or like spending all that time on social media and entertainment, and working in your craft instead, and see how far you can get. Now, I'm just getting the book I'm reading right now. I'm doing reading No More Mr. Nice Guy. I'll put the link in the description.
Yeah.
And I'm reading No More Mr. Nice Guy is basically like how like being like a pushover can really like impact like your leadership and you as a person, and kind of how to flip that, like not being rude or being mean, but also be more. It talks more about being stoic and stoicism and stuff like that. Because once you become a very social person, you kind of want to try to please everybody, and that's not what it's about. Because people see once you represent somebody as a leader, they want to see the person they want to be in you. So you can't be a pushover. You can't be too nice. So that's what I'm reading. No More Mr. Nice Guy. I'll put it down here. Y'all read that while I read it. So.
All right. Any last words, Steven?
Chilling right now. My cash tag is no, I'm kidding.
My cash.
You're so funny.
Get up. I know you're watching this video right now. Once you're done watching this video, get up and take a walk outside and breathe some air.
Right. Hey, we
touch some grass.
We want you to like, subscribe, and comment. And leave your comments of what you think you're going to do for the month if you plan on following my son in this.
Yeah,
let us know what you're doing.
We'll be here when you get back.
Right. Yeah. Let us know what you want to do. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know if you're being successful at it. Look, if you fail, get back up and do it again. It's not that big of a deal. You know, it's just having the mindset to do it and just being, as he said, consistent with it. Consistency is key. So again, we thank everyone. We again apologize for the break. A lot of stuff is going on, but we're going to try to be more consistent. We got to do what we're talking about, okay? And so we want to drop some knowledge on you this first podcast of the new year, just to give you something to think about, okay? So again, like, subscribe, comment, leave those comments below. Tell your friends about us, you know, give us your opinions and whatnot, and we'll go from there, okay? So until the next time, we will see y'all later. God bless you. Talk to you later on.
The Matrix is after us. Don't let them see.